just start at the beginning. I don't really have a title or anything right now. It'll be added, and I'll put all that stuff in later. But we're going to talk about the DCU and if I'm happy, sad, pissed, or whatever. And with me is Javis, my brother, who has his own podcast and things that he's doing, but we're combining together because it just needs to be said. So, has the DCU become the DCU? What do you think, Javis?
First of all, don't ever use that term with DC. No, I'm still excited, man. I'm still excited. There's a lot of things that are happening that I'm not happy about, of course. I think that's, the state of the DC universe. We've been dealing with one universe for so long. For someone to come in and completely change that, of course, you're going to be a little bit upset. Marvel hasn't had to go through this, so we haven't seen them have to reset. But yes, DC does need to be reset. I feel like it can be reset with the current characters, but I'm not the one in charge. So I think the biggest upset thing for me is Henry Cavill no longer being Superman. I think he's one of the greatest Supermen we've had. So it's unfortunate, but I have a lot of hope for the future. I have a lot of hope for. I have a lot of trust in James Gunn. There's literally nothing this man has done that I didn't absolutely love. I just hope he can bring it to the DC universe. But how do you feel about what's going on?
I got pissed, and really angry, and I don't think for the reasons that people think I'm going to be talking about. You want to do a reboot, you want to do a refresh, restart, fine. I don't know how many times people want to do it, but yeah, I don't care, do it. But why do we keep doing it with the same characters? All right, it's like, hey, we're going to bring back the DCU. Okay, who we're going to have? Superman. All right, hey guys, I know you guys like Superman. It didn't work out that well, but we're going to reboot the series. Guess what we started with? What we started with? Superman. All right, guys, hey, we didn't like how the DCU thing was going, so we're going to bring it back in a whole new style. Who we're going to do it? Oh, Superman. So how are you going to talk about rebooting and starting something new and still doing the same characters? There are so many DCU characters out there that I keep saying DCU, but it's because it's DC Universe, but DC Comics has a ton of characters that are beloved and treasured, and what bothers me is that we keep going down the same road over and over again. Stop rebooting Superman. Stop rebooting Batman. They are amazing characters, but there are other characters that can bring the franchise what it needs, and we did not do that. If you really, really pay attention, all the ones that people have really liked have been the ones that have been the characters that have not been Batman, that have not been Superman. Because if you're going off what you're saying, the new director or whatever his title is for that now, if you're going by what he's saying, all the stuff that he brought to DC was not Batman, was not Superman, and all those things were a hit. So why aren't we going with that style? Why aren't we just changing the style? And then more importantly, and I'm sorry to have to say this, it's just like, bring some black characters that are the main focus this time. Bring in other nationalities that are the main focus this time. It works. Black Panther has proven that. Black Panther has proven that you can actually get other diversities and make an incredible hit. Like, challenge yourself. They're like, hey, we're going to reboot the series, and once again, it's going to be a little bit different this time. All right, what are you bringing to the table? We're going to do Superman Legacy. And I'm like, okay, so which one are you doing? Is it going to be, Superman being older, Superman being younger? Is it going to be not Superman, but like Superman's son, so it's a play on words, and so we're going to be like, oh, what a surprise. Just do something different. I'm sorry, but I truly enjoyed Cyborg. Where's his story? Cyborg redid the whole entire thing for me. We have that. We have all the characters that were the bad characters in Suicide Squad. There are some of those characters that you can flesh out and do some other things with. What's happening there? And then Peacemaker, as much as I loved it because of the woman from what is that? What is her
Orange
name?
is the New Black.
Yes, her. She's the one that sold it for me. That character was unlike any character that you normally see, and that's what brought it home for me wanting to watch. And I'm like, that's
and
what
not
we
even
need.
not even to cut you off, but
But you did.
I agree. I did, but I agree with. I think that she brought. I think on top of her being a great character for me, I think she brought in a demographic that was willing to watch a really kooky superhero story.
Yes.
Like, there's not a lot of black people that are into that type of stuff, but when
Yes.
you start adding black characters and minority characters into that, and realize that these worlds, these universes that are created, we're a part of that. And when they start realizing that, I think that's where your money is. That's where you get the butts in the seat for the theater and things like that. So I feel like I agree with that. But I'm gonna let you finish before I give my opinion on how you feel about this.
I mean, that's basically it. When it comes down and boils to it, I want to see um the Black Green Lantern. Where's the new story for them? We have Black Lightning for CW. Redo that. See what you can do with that. You got Cyborg, Static Shock. You got all these different characters that you could. The list goes on all these characters you can do, and it doesn't have to be the black character. It just has to be. Come on, like that. What people don't talk about, which needs to be a topic of discussion. I'm sure it has in some realms that I just have not been a part of. Is that Marvel took nothing and made something, and
Mm-hmm.
DC has everything and they're
Mm-hmm.
doing nothing. That's
Mm-hmm.
what's really going on
I
because
agree.
Marvel was like, well, all we have is Iron Man, and we can do Thor, and we got a couple of other people that just like, but these aren't the popular characters. What are we gonna do? Because we don't have the ones that are the top of the line characters. Like, well, let's try and make something with what we got. And so they poured it into the pot. They made an incredible soup, and everybody was like, "This is the best soup I've ever had in my life." And then you have like the top shelf ingredients at DC, like the best of the best ingredients they're putting in. Oh no, this onion was flown in from this small place in this little country that makes these specific onions, and this piece of black pepper over here came from such and such, and like all these pieces came in to come in, and then you taste it, and you're like, oh yeah, it tastes like regular soup, like it's not great, and I'm like, that's what's wrong. So now you got James Gunn coming in like, oh, we're gonna make it a lot better. I'm adding white pepper instead of black pepper, guys, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, like I can't wait. It's the same pepper. Come on, like do something different. Like, hey, black pepper wasn't working. We're gonna put in oregano. We're gonna see what's gonna happen there. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm doing a food reference, but like everybody understands that you gotta start. If you're gonna make a soup, you got two options. You can make a soup from scratch, or you can buy a pre-mixed soup and then add stuff to it. So he's doing a little bit of both. He's taking a soup that's already created and he's gonna add to it. That's fine, but he's putting in the same ingredients again. Like when I first had goat, I was like, oh my god, it's the most delicious thing I've ever had. But I've always been eating chicken and thought that was just good enough. But then someone introduced me to goat. It's a whole new different game. It's a whole new different level. And so I'm like, he needs to do that too. So go ahead and give me your thoughts. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, let's change the subject because I'm getting hungry at this point. But I feel like the I can agree with you on most points. I just feel like what you have to understand, even about the comic books of and the characters, whether you like it, whether you love it, whether you hate it, Batman and Superman are the focal point. You cannot have a universe without them. Now, you can bring them in later, or you can make mention of them and then do something bigger later on once you develop a lot of the other characters. Now, that I do agree with. They don't have to come out the box with them. We've done enough on them for us to chill with them for a minute. But eventually, yes, they have to be added in, and they gotta be the focal point because any DC universe has a Justice League and a Justice Society, and any fan knows that Superman and Batman were the ones that created that. So it breaks the continuity to have all the other characters there without them. So that part I do understand. I do feel like maybe they could have waited. They could have talked about other people. They could have done anything but start this off with Superman Legacy and not give us the Superman we want. And that's my issue is the fact that if you're going to come out the box with Superman, it's got to be the Superman that the people love. Don't give us a new Superman uh, right after you fire the old one. We need a good 5 years with these other characters for us to see. Okay, maybe Henry Cavill doesn't work with this new cast. But no, I just think that that's a little disrespectful. But I don't know. I feel like James Gunn is doing new and different things to this universe, which is why I'm super excited.
Cutting you off.
Um,
I'm cutting you off because you're starting a different topic a little bit, and I want to go back to what you just said because there's something that's just gonna eat at me, and I want to say this. I agree with 99% of what you're saying, which is like of who Batman, Superman, those characters are and what they bring. But how awesome would it have been if they did a Green Lantern movie? And at the end of
oh
that
yeah,
Green Lantern movie, he does whatever he does, saves the day or whatever. And then at the end of it, you see Superman's cape or his boot walk up, and you hear a voice say, "Can I talk to you for a second?" And that's all you get. So you don't even see Superman. And
yeah,
then
but
you're like,
that I completely agree.
but see, that's what I'm saying. But then no Superman, no Batman, and then another movie comes out that has like a different character from somewhere else in the DC world. Let's say Flash or whoever. They do another one of those, and then at the end of that movie, you see Batman's boot and Batman's like cape, and he's like, "We need to talk." And then it just goes off. Then you see them building something. So now it's building. We don't know who Batman is. We don't know who Superman is, but they were at the end of these movies. So you never see those two because they've been behind the doors, and you've seen like you'll watch a scene in another movie or a series and you see Superman fly past. Like that's what we need because it's teasing what we truly want to see, which is Batman and Superman, but we don't get it. You build it up into something. You don't just start all over again with Superman and Batman. And if they do it that way, you get the butts in the seats to be like, who is it? There's all these things that's going to be podcasts and YouTube, all the Twitch, TikTok, all of them will be sitting there like, who is it? Well, if you look at this boot the way it is and the foot size of this measurement, you can totally see that they're bringing Henry Cavill. Did you hear the voice? Well, that voice sounded like so-and-so from such movie. Listen to this. And all of a sudden it becomes about that. So you got to watch the movie to figure out what the heck is going on. And you get hyped. You get hyped up for it. And then finally you bring in Superman and Batman on a level that they've never been on before. And then it's built. You have a whole entire story, but you built the background characters first to let them know, hey, something's about to happen. And the reason why we all got to come together is because it's something so big that even Superman and Batman need help with it. And I'm like, then you have your story. But they're not doing that. They're doing the same recipe all over again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the problem. We know how great Superman is. We know how great Batman is. No matter what, there are people that love some of the movies, love this movie, hated that movie, love this movie, hated that movie. It's all over the board on about that. But at the end of the day, everybody loves Superman and Batman. We all can agree on that. The storyline, depending on where it goes, it's always been the topic of discussion. So you put them in the background for the first time ever, and you bring in all these other characters that you can build upon because there isn't any discussions on that. I know Black Adam was trying to do something like that, but they did it with the wrong people. And now you have an opportunity to build something, and why not do it that way? Why not just reboot? Don't just... Yeah, I don't even know if the word reboot is what is even happening right now because he's like, and when Flash's movie is over, it's going to reset the whole entire world. No, it's not. It's not really going to reset it. You're going to redo the same thing. It's going to be Superman all over again. We're going to focus on Batman's son because this is his actual biological son and how he tries to raise him. And I'm like, okay, fine. That's a different storyline that we haven't seen before. But it's once again Batman. It's once again Superman. And all these DC characters that are incredible characters that we've all grown up to know and love are all now being pushed to the back burner all over again. So now I'm going to get white guy against white guy versus another white guy versus another white guy for several white guys until we get who we want. And there's nothing wrong with having a white person or a black person or any. That's not what I'm saying. My point is that you can build on something better, something more, something that hasn't been done before, but yet you choose to still do the same thing all over again. We've seen Superman in so many different iterations to the point where it's tiring. I'm actually tired of seeing Superman. I'm not looking forward to seeing this one because I'm done. Like it's you played Superman out so much, and yet you act like there's no other characters out there besides him. You're like, hey, the Batman that's out right now will be in a different universe, but my Batman is going to be a part of my universe. And then what about the other? Oh no, those other Batmans, they don't exist anymore. What Peter Nolan? No, he's not there anymore. We're doing a whole entire new Batman, and I'm like, Jesus, like how many Batmans have I? How many Batmans have we seen in our lifetime, Shavis? How many Supermans have we seen? Like, I mean, I honestly want to go down the list of how many Supermans I've had to sit through. I remember sitting in the movie theater with you, and it was what, Superman Returns? And then they did that one scene where it's always a funny part to me because Superman was falling out of the sky and he fell to the ground, and your nephew was like, our nephew was like, what happened to Superman? Yeah. And you turned to this little 7-year-old and go, he's dead. Superman is dead, because it was emotional and it grabs you. But I'm like, just bring something else to the table.
No, I understand. Let's talk about I want to give him some credit before I talk about some of the issues that I personally have. Some of the credit that I do want to give him is that for the first time ever, somebody has defined in the DC universe what is the continuity of the universe and what is not. And he has officially defined that there are some things that aren't going to be a part of the universe, and those are called Elseworld. No one has ever done
name.
That. You said what?
Clever name. Oh my! What do we call the things that are not a part of my world? I don't know. Somewhere else. Yes. Yes. This is from the people that brought you Unobtainium in Avatar. We now have Elseworld.
Now, I'm not saying it's the best name. All I'm saying is that for the first time ever, somebody has officially defined where the animated series go. Where do the other Batman, the other Superman go? Where does, like, no one has ever defined it. You don't know what is a part of what, and they never, and you would think going into creating a cinematic universe, they would say this in the beginning, but they never did, and that made a lot of things confusing. So I am happy he's coming out the box to say, hey, we are not only going to create a timeline for you, we are going to create placements for you. Everything that's created from now on is going to be under a category for you to know whether or not it's a part of this or that. And I am excited about that, to
is
not go into the...
Like, I mean, that's the question. Is it going to be where the old Batman that we had, he's Elseworld, and then they do another Batman story? Is that Elseworld? Is that just because all it seems like is it's what I'm doing and what I'm not doing. If I'm not doing it, it's Elseworld. If I'm doing it, it's my world.
My world.
But like, as much as I'm laughing right now, to me, it's also a serious question because I was never confused. There was so much content out there. Like, you watch Titans, and then they're in their world, and then you have another series like the stuff that was like on Smallville, or even like you had the show Smallville, and then it came out with Green Arrow, and people were like, well, is that part of the same universe? And then someone asked a question, the answer was no. Okay, and then you move on. Like, it was never difficult. Like, well, how does that flow with this? And how does that... I've never, ever cared about that because it was characters that I loved and I cherished doing their own storyline. Some would come together, some would not. And then you can kind of, if you are a fan, you can tell, oh, well, no, this is from this comic book series. No, this is more based on this series over here. The people that are the fans, because honestly, the people that are the fans are the ones that are truly watching. It's not my Uncle Steve who's never seen a DC movie a day in his life and then going over there and watching it and be like, well, I don't understand because I watched this other Batman. Are they brothers? Are they cousins? No. Those people go in, watch a movie and say that was a good movie, and then they leave and move on with their lives. We're the ones who take it and analyze it so much to where we have to define it in a certain way. But if we're doing all that work, then we already know the answer. So going to get back to what you said, were you truly confused about where things were in the DC world when you picked up something and you decided to watch?
No. And maybe I misspoke. Not confused. I was just more upset because there are certain things that I really either wanted to be a part of or wanted to know specifically will they ever bring this into? You know, you
Mm-hmm.
always had that hope that you watch something and you're just like, okay, this is really cool.
Yes.
But at the same time, at the end of it, it could be a show, it could be a movie, or it could be whatever. You're like, wow, I really want them to bring this into this. But what we didn't know was this had no plans to ever be a part of this. But you just have that hope, and I just want them to get rid of that hope. Like, give me, like, hey, this will never be a part of this. Okay, cool. I can enjoy it for what it is, and I can leave it behind. I don't have to sit here and analyze and do all this other stuff going, okay, well, if they beat up here, they can bring this character. Nah, I don't have to do any of that. That's what I do like about it, is the fact that, and you're right, you're 100% right. Anything, it feels like anything that he does is going to be a part of the cinematic universe. Anything that someone else does will be Elseworld. But they are also taking steps to make sure you know the difference between the two.
I know they said
Batman,
like Swamp Thing was going to be like Elseworld too, even though he's creating that. But it's, to me, it's like just a. I feel like that's more of a play on words, as in like, well, Swamp Thing's not going to be a part of this world, so that way people won't be thinking that all my stuff is my world and everything else is Elseworld.
yeah,
So I'm going to just make
exactly.
something off to the side. It's just it. I saw the presentation and I honestly got excited of what's to come. But then I saw everything that's happening, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the same thing all over again. But the one thing that I want to say, because we spoke about all of that, and I don't want to make this podcast 3 hours long. I want to get on Booster Gold. I think that's his name, Booster Gold. I think Booster
Yeah.
Gold should be played by Kevin Hart. What do you think?
Kevin Hart?
Yes.
No. What are you talking about?
Booster Gold, if you look at his storyline and if you look at who he truly is as a character, it's a person from the future that takes the equipment that they have from the future and goes back into the past and tries to be a superhero that he is not. That is a comedy of epic proportions that would take somebody to be the doofus of all doofuses to create something that's never been done before. Booster Gold needs to be Kevin Hart. That is going to be my campaign for life, because I guarantee you, if you make Booster Gold Kevin Hart, you will have a superhero that the world has never ever seen before in a format that has never been done. Because everybody's been talking about the dude from Guardians of the Galaxy, Chris Pratt, about him being Booster Gold, and it's going to have that kind of like little funny whatever he's being off stupid blah 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 blah, whatever his kind of characters are for some of the things that he does. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that. But Kevin Hart as Booster Gold, because they actually did have a black Booster Gold for what's that show that I never really got into? It was part of the Green Arrow verse, where it was like they all were on a ship and they went through time. Do you remember that? Tomorrow.
You talk about the what is that? Future something of tomorrow.
Yeah, World of Tomorrow. It's so
the
sad.
World of Tomorrow. Yeah, I know.
It's so sad I can't remember the name of it. And I did watch that for a few seasons, but it was so confused. That was the definite. And if they say we're rebooting that and we're gonna fix it, are you still there? Oh, I think I lost him. Hold on, let's see if he can call me back. All right, we're gonna wait and see if I can get him back, and then we're gonna continue the conversation. There we go. I see him calling. Let's see if it pops up on my phone. Hey, Javis. Hold on, I want to try.
A little bit of connection.
Yeah, I think it might have been my my iPad, because it's not picking you up at all. I'm trying to see if I can switch it to the iPad. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
iPhone main floor. No, it's not picking up at all. Man, we were just getting good with this conversation, and everybody's gonna be like, "What is going on right now? He needs to fix this equipment."
Is it my headphones or?
No, it's not you. It's not whatever was connected. Is just, I mean, it literally just disconnected. Do me a favor, FaceTime me. I want to see if it pops up on my iPad.
Okay.
All right, bye. This show is brought to you in part by getting your equipment up straight.
Hobbies Long,
Yeah.
FaceTime video.
talk?
Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yes.
5.
All right. So we can continue right where we left off. I got you on,
Awesome.
but you can actually see me, which is funny. It's like I wish I could record this too, but I can't.
I
But
know.
I'll work on that
Oh
for
my
next time. So,
goodness.
like I was saying, Booster Gold. The characters he's probably going to pick is going to be interesting, but I want something that's never been done before, and to have Kevin Hart be a superhero that's never been done before, I think that'll change the game on everything.
Okay. I so here's where we completely disagree. Only because of the fact that I get where you're coming from, and they chose the right person. James Gunn's going to do something that is completely different. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I'm just not on the bandwagon of choosing different races to play characters that have been notoriously one race. I've never been a part of that when it comes to the comic book series. Booster Gold was originally white. And if you're gonna do Booster Gold, I feel like it should be that. There are lots of black characters you can do in the DC universe. There's a lot of black characters you can up and create, but I just feel like, I don't know, the movie is gonna bomb. No matter how much I like it, no matter how much you like it, I feel like the movie is going to bomb because the comic book fans know that that's not supposed to be Booster Gold. They're not gonna take it seriously. They're not gonna go out and see the movie. They're not gonna do it.
Well, let's talk
And
about that for a few minutes then. So what you're saying is whatever character was the original character color for that character, that should not change when they do it into a live action film?
I'm not saying that it shouldn't change. I'm just saying that notoriously those movies have bombed. And literally, if you want to take the chance, if you want to do it, that's great, that's fine, that's awesome. But if you're pitting the new DC universe, because Booster Gold is going to be a really, in my opinion, iconic film that people have been waiting for. And we need some wins out of the DC universe. I feel like if you're going to do something that crazy and that off the wall, I don't think it should count as much.
Wonder Woman wasn't white.
Wonder Woman was not white. Wonder Woman was not white, but they did Wonder Woman correctly.
Yes. And I think they can do the same thing with Booster Gold. Go back and look at. With me, I could care less what color the person is. I care more about the essence of the character. And I want to see the essence of the character. And I'm like, you put Kevin Hart in that situation of you send this man that's from the future and he takes all that technology and comes back in time and he just tries to just become like billionaire, millionaire, y'all need me because I got this technology and that, and then ends up having to become a superhero and help out but still be the Kevin Hart. Like, I'm not looking at Kevin Hart as in the goofy things that you've seen him on the movies. I'm actually looking at Kevin Hart when he's actually hanging out in real life with people. If you look at Kevin Hart and how he hangs out in life with real people, the way he's talking with the people is as a person who didn't have anything but now has a bunch of stuff and is trying to prove himself around people, not in a negative way, in a way that anybody would who would be in his shoes, but still being his silly, goofy self. And I'm like, Booster Gold has that aspect in there, that essence. I look at Chris Pratt. If he were to do it, I'm not saying he wouldn't do it not any justice, but I feel like the essence is still slightly lost. Like, I want to see, when I look at Henry Cavill as Superman, there was something about him that brought an essence to what Superman is. He didn't at first have what I felt was the look, but the spirit was there.
Yeah,
I could feel that spirit. And what's interesting, I felt the same way about what is his name? Who's the person that played Batman in the Batman Superman movies?
Ben Affleck.
I felt he had the spirit of an aged Batman that was
Yeah, same
worn,
here.
weary, and tired. But it
That's
didn't
why people
matter
loved
what
him.
his look was. It was the spirit that he brought to the table. And I felt the same way about Wonder Woman. Because if you really look at Gal Gadot, she didn't have the acting chops at the time to be able to do that. And they had to, help act, because she didn't start off as, hey, I want to be an actress. She was all these other things and then became who she was. She was still the woman that was in the Fast and the Furious movies. So that's who she was in the beginning, but she became that role because when you look at her style, her expression, her Amazonian style of who she was, because she used to be in the military, you can see that. So she carried the essence, the spirit. I feel Kevin Hart has that.
I agree with you when it should be about spirit. I feel that, you feel that. The DC Universe fans don't feel that. I'm telling you right now, it's they are not of the same. Comic book fans in general, Marvel, DC, you can throw them all in there. They don't have that mindset. So if you're looking for a really great movie that's not going to make any money, that's it. But if you're looking for a movie that's going to kill at the box office, it's not it. And I feel like Kevin Hart. I know what you're talking about when it comes to. It's not about his goofy side that we see in movies all the time. It's his more personal side that would bring a great essence if he can bring that to Booster Gold. I'm just not sure if he's willing to go the mile with that. I just don't. I don't see him taking it seriously, as serious as we want it to be. Um, I don't think Chris Pratt's right either. I think he's been too much in the superhero world for us to see him as a legitimate Booster Gold. I think there's a lot of characters and a lot of actors out there that might have that spirit, but
Jim
Kevin
Carrey?
Hart, Jim Carrey, yes, but I don't know in terms of and I hate to be ageist, but I just don't know. He's a little older now.
You just breaking all the barriers today. So great. When I put this podcast up, we're just gonna be hated by all races, all nationalities. You gonna go through all of them. Just yeah.
But here's the
Let the
thing:
white people be white. Let the black people be black. That's what you said earlier. Someone's too old to play this character. Keep going. You're doing great, James. I can't wait to see all the hate mail you get from this. Keep going.
Okay. You can choose. Here's the thing. Here's what I want to do. Eventually, I want us to have a show where we go in and every single character that is going to be brought into the DC universe, I want us to come up with a great black actor or actress that should be in that role. We'll do an entire episode of the person that should play that role as black. Because here's the thing, no one has said anything about the fact that they were slated to do a Superman movie. There is a Superman that is black.
Mm-hmm.
He's on another world. It's in another universe.
Let's all bring him to Earth.
But that is supposed to be played by Michael B. Jordan. He's already been greenlit and on board, and he's supposed to be executive producing this movie as a black Superman. But that is, we don't know. That's up in the air now. Now that James Gunn is on board, we don't know if that's still coming or not. But we do have one thing that we do have is the Green Lantern series that they're about to do. That is both Hal Jordan and John Stewart together. That I think is going to be insanely awesome.
See,
but
that's it. It just, I hear you, but then they're like, we're gonna have Green Lantern, but it won't be the Black Green Lantern by himself. We got to bring in some of the other ones in there, so that way you guys will go and see this movie. So,
but we've always wanted a Green Lantern Corps something, like they've always done. I don't think people would have been happy with just the Black Green Lantern. I don't think people would have been happy with just the White Green Lantern because we know too much about all the Green Lanterns. So I feel like we should. It's finally time to bring them all together. But yeah, we should have had something way before now with Jon Stewart, other than an animated show.
Yeah, I hear you. I can't really disagree with anything that you're saying for the most part. I feel I
I'm
guess for
just
me, I do want to see the diversity in the shows and stuff that we're seeing, but at the
yeah,
same time, I also want us to um find the right character for each
yeah,
person, no matter the nationality.
understood.
And I feel that sometimes we want to go with what we've seen in the comic books and what matches, but I think sometimes we forget the essence of like I, kind of something that was brought to my attention. When you're reading the book, let's take Harry Potter. When you're reading Harry Potter for the first time, every voice and emotion that happens in Harry Potter when you're reading that book is what you've created. You
Yeah.
don't know what he sounds like. You get
Mm-hmm.
an idea from like with a scratching voice and a blah blah blah. But you create what that sounds like, and it's up to a writer that's making the movie to hear every version of it and find the one that everybody can be like, okay, I'm cool with it.
Exactly.
So when it comes to building these characters, you have to do the same thing. None of these people have ever had voices. If you're, well, except for, the cartoon versions that have come out and stuff, no one's truly had their own voice. Whatever the voice was when you read that comic book growing up, you created what they sounded like. You created what that voice is going to look like. You created their extra emotions, their less emotions. Even though you see them go pow, kick, whatever happens in the comic or whatever, you make that sound of what it feels like. You make that sound, that action, that emotion, and you build that. When I think of Booster Gold, I close my eyes and look at who we have for a roster of people that can create the essence of what I created in my head. And it's not about pick a black person. It's not about that. It's about pick the person that resembles the character that you've seen in your head this whole entire time. So when Booster Gold comes to life, I see a comedian doing that character. Not necessarily an amazing actor. I see a comedian because it's that other side to it that doesn't get talked about. When you see a Superman in the comic books, you see one of the strongest people you've ever seen in your life. Like the muscles are there where muscles even shouldn't be because it's a Superman. But then you have the people that's been Superman, and what do? They put on a suit that makes them look like that. Henry Cavill was the first one ever where they were like, we don't need to put a suit on this brother. This brother is Superman, period, in the story. There was no question about that. That's why there were no questions. And even his version of having, the beard goes back to one of the comic book series where he did have a beard and he had chest hair. So it's just like, it goes with all of that. In the first episode of Lois and Clark, The Adventures of Superman, the first thing that he did in that first episode when he went in for his job is he shaved. And you're like, how does Superman shave? Well, he used his red beam eyes in the mirror and it beamed back to his face. And that's how he shaved his beard for him doing something. So he always has the beard, but he just shaves it and they show different sides of that. So you create the essence. You have the Superman version of the Lois and Clark episodes where, he's super strong, but it doesn't look like he works out at all. And then you have the other versions of the one where Superman, I just said the name, Superman Returns, and he has the muscles, but it was his face that really grabs you as Superman because something about his eyes to the point where even at one point in the movie they shoot the bullet directly into his eyeball and he doesn't even blink and it just falls down because it was his eyes that made Superman for that movie. But Henry Cavill brought a spirit of strength to that movie, right down to the point where at the end of that movie he broke what's his name's neck. Pure strength. Because you got to see that. You couldn't see any other Superman do that because the muscles were never real. That version you could. So if you're gonna go with the spirit and stuff, then you can. But I agree with you. It's about getting butts in seats because even though we have James Gunn now, if he doesn't bring the butts in the seat, guess what? He's out. And it's going to be somebody else who's going to try to reboot the series. And it's going to keep going like that because now it doesn't even seem like the directors are really directing the way they have a right to be anymore. It's like, look, we need to make this amount of money. If you don't make this amount of money, you're out. We're getting somebody else. This is football. It's literally turned to how coaches are in football now. That's how they're being treated. And if they're being treated that way, then I'm like, okay, that's what's going on. So you had someone that tried to come in, which was The Rock. He's like, I'm going to bring all this back and put all this together and make all this work. Okay, what is your plan? I'm going to be the Black Adam that you guys wanted me to be. All right, let's watch Black Adam. It was all right. Yeah, it was a pretty good movie. But it wasn't an Iron Man. And that's the problem. They have not designed, and I'm not doing a comparison of how great Iron Man was. Iron Man changed the whole entire dynamic of it by at the end of the movie, he said, I'm Iron Man. It's never happened before. That changed. What are you going to do into this DC world that's going to be different? Unless you go up in there and say, I'm Clark Kent at the end of it. That's the only thing I can think of. But then you're just copying somebody else that already did something like that. What are you going to bring to the table? And I'm like, I haven't seen that. And if you aren't going to do that, something that drastic to change it up to bring you back into the seat to see that scene happen over and over again, then don't do Superman right now. Don't do Batman right now. Do something else that we can be okay with. This is why everybody's fine with Shazam. Because Shazam is just like, we love Shazam, we've seen it, and they're like, okay, yeah, you get that fun, family-friendly, blah, 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 let's get together, but still some action. Yeah, okay, let's do that. It's fun for the whole family, let's do that. Why? Because we don't have anything else right now. Perfect. And then you can build upon that. But if you're not going to give it the justice that it needs, then it's not ready yet. And I don't mind waiting until I'm in my 60s, if that's so be it. I'm in my 40s now. I don't mind waiting until I'm in my 60s to see it done properly. Because it kind of goes back to the same scenario of video games. Like, the reason why you can't create a Superman video game is because he's so doggone powerful. But if you take his power away, then he's not Superman and you don't want to play the game. How do you find that perfect balance? And I'm like, it's the same thing in this world. Superman is one of the most powerful characters ever in the world. Batman's one of the most clever characters you'll ever find in the world. But if you don't make sure that they stay clever, you don't make sure that they stay powerful enough, then you lose the dynamic of it. So now you have Booster Gold, and I'm like, who can sit in that suit and be Booster Gold and get the seats and get the love?
All right, I 100% see where you're coming from with that, and I agree, especially when it comes to the Superman stuff. To be fair, the last Superman movie we had where he was legitimately a part of the movie was like 2021. 2021, that's when Justice League came out, one of those years, and the next Superman movie isn't supposed to hit theaters until 2025. So we do get a good 5 years without a Superman, I can't say without a Batman, because Batman just came back out, and then we got Joker. The second Joker movie is supposed to come out with Lady Gaga being Harley Quinn. They haven't confirmed that she's Harley Quinn, but who the hell else is she gonna be? Like, literally, who else? It's gonna be a musical, and they hired Lady Gaga. Who else is she gonna be?
Is it a musical?
Yeah, it's gonna be a musical, the second movie, which makes sense because they're both insane. But yeah,
I must have missed. Yeah, doggone COVID just took me out in a way I didn't think it did. Like, I have no idea if you're telling me the truth or not. I gotta go look it up. Yeah,
I had to look it up. I was just like, yo, is this really happening? But yeah, it's gonna be a musical.
Yeah, Batman.
And I'm just like, okay, you're right, because it's when you brought it up, I was just like, we do get way too much Batman stuff. We do get way too much Superman stuff. And yeah, the only Superman video game that would work is if something happened and it put him back on Krypton, or he got sucked into the Phantom Zone, and him and Zod had to battle it out. He had to battle all the people that have been, because that, if he's on Earth is going bye-bye. Mm-hmm. Like that there's nothing you can do about that. But yeah, no, those were just some of the things I really liked. The Green Lantern series coming out, Swamp Thing, the Amazonian show that they're gonna do all about the Mascara. Those are things I feel like now a black character that has not been on screen that is a black superhero that we need to see is Nubia. Nubia, the black Amazonian queen that was created to be Wonder Woman's counterpart. She needs her own movie, 100%. And once again, I can't wait for us to do the show where we cast black characters in the series in the universe because I don't even know who should play that role, but it's definitely going to be incredible when they finally bring Nubia because they've just started. I went to the bookstore the other day. They just started Nubia series. They just started. Now they got all these Nubia books. When at one point in time, the only thing I could find on Nubia back when I worked at a bookstore was inside of a Wonder Woman comic. They would have a special on Nubia inside of a Wonder Woman comic. Now Nubia's getting her own stuff. And so the comic book world is already warming up to the fact that this is coming. We're getting a Nubia movie at sooner or later. I'm excited about what James Gunn is going to bring to the animated. I think I'm more excited about James Gunn's animated creations and video game creations than I am about movie creations. Like I'm kind of all movied out, to be perfectly honest with you, because I don't feel like they've been doing it right. So the fact that we're going to get animated content and video game content that is going to interconnect with movie content, that's the part that I think that James Gunn deserves the award for. The sheer fact that he's going to try to make this work where it has failed Marvel time and time again and other people, if he feels like he can do it and wants to try, I think that's where you're getting your chance taken. I think that's where you're getting your something that we've never seen before. The Superman, I don't think it's going to be something we've never seen before. I think it might be interesting because James Gunn's doing it. I think the dialogue is going to be really great, but I don't think it's going to be that's unique. But the unique part is if he's able to interlock that movie with an animated show or movie.
Captain America movie. And at the end
Yeah,
of the second Captain America movie, you find out that there's still the whatchamacallit people out there. What are they called? The Hydra people. And
yeah.
so the next episode of Agents of Shield is about how the Hydra people are there, and you're like, I didn't even see the movie yet, and then it totally ruined the movie. And I was like, oh, yep, this was a major mistake right there. And I'm like, so I've seen it. I've seen people turn a TV show where it's connected to a video game. Is he gonna whatever he does in that way? It's going to be fine, but I don't care. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that make a great movie, make a great video game, make a great cartoon. I don't care if they connect. I just want them to be great. And if you can connect them and they're still great, kudos. But if you connect them and it's not great, then why'd you do it? I'm very simplistic about that. I can separate myself, and I think any fan can separate themselves between all those different things. If you want to, I know what he said in his wording is like we're going to use the same voices. Great, okay, use the same voices. And if you want to create the same timeline where they're doing something particular on this one and that they're doing another one, that's fine. But make it great. Don't do the injustice of doing that just to say you did it and it's not great. Concentrate
I
on
agree.
one thing and get it right. Cause like it that world is messed up. People love the last Batman movie where it's like a little bit where I don't know. I watched the last Batman movie. I still haven't finished it yet because I stopped it. It's just I couldn't. It was not grabbing me the way it should.
What?
Yes, and we're gonna have a discussion
How?
about that too. I'm hoping that
How?
it was the COVID. I'm hoping that COVID did something to me, and that's why I don't like it. Because every person that I've talked to said that I am crazy for not liking that movie.
You
That it was the
are.
best Batman that ever was. But I'm like,
I,
if it was the best Batman that it's ever been, why are you taking it out? What am I missing? If it was that great, why aren't you building upon that into your storyline? Why take something that great that you're saying everybody loved and taking a back seat to it and saying that's not a part of my world? I'm building something else. That becomes the question you have to ask yourself. It's a real question because my thing is if like well, I really enjoyed. I'm trying to think of some offbeat Marvel show to compare it to, but I really can't think of that. But it's just, if something is that good and that great, you don't say it's not part of my world and they can do whatever they want. You figure out how to sit down with your writers and make it all come together. You sit there and say, "Well, that Joker movie was the best Joker movie I think anyone's ever seen." Is there a way to put that Joker movie into that Batman movie? Is there a way to put the Henry Cavill Superman and put him into that world? Is there a way to do all those things and combine them? That's where you get your good writing from. Because someone that can take all of those things and combine it into one, even if it's just a flash saying, I gotta grab you from this universe, I gotta grab you from this universe, or blah blah blah, and bring y'all all to this particular universe, okay. But don't tell me that now because of some other writer that did such a great job with Batman, it's like this dude is being punished. Because when you really think about it, the people that did all these other movies are in a way are being punished. Because when you put them in Elseworld, you aren't giving them the full status that you would with everything that's in this whole new world. Because if two Batman movies come out, and let's just be honest, if a James Gunn Batman movie comes out, or the guy that did this other Batman movie and it comes out the same day, which one are you gonna see? If you can only pick one, do you go and see the new James Gunn version one, or do you go and see this guy's version one? And why would I go to the theater and sit in one movie with one version and sit in another movie a year later with the other version? That doesn't
Yeah,
even sound appealing to me.
I don't like that aspect of it, and I I remember him saying that, and I was just like, but I don't know if that's a fault of the movie or a fault of the director. Like, I just don't know if it's a fault of James Gunn for not allowing that into the universe, or if it's the fault of the movie for not being what it should have been. But I went to the theater and saw that movie, and it was incredible. You can't tell me a Batman and a Catwoman has had that type of chemistry on screen ever. Like, literally,
Did
it
I
was.
fall asleep? What did I miss?
I don't understand how you weren't about this movie. It was, and I am not a Batman fan, um, but this movie really did grab me. I was really invested. I was really on board.
Was I
It was.
drunk? Was I on drugs?
And then at the end to find out that they are doing because they are still doing the Penguin story on HBO Max. They're still doing the Gotham storyline show on HBO Max. So they're not going to branch off and do other things with something that's crap.
I'm gonna
And
rewatch it again. That's I don't have any other choice but to sit down and rewatch this movie and figure out if I was just in a different state of mind, because you and every person that I've spoken to has said this is probably the best version of a Batman Catwoman movie that there's ever been. Penguin did such a great job, and I'm sitting there trying to remember, like, no, I remember him using his his goggles that looked like they were made by Mattel, and I'm trying to figure out why is this interesting to me. And then his look, I kept thinking that he was a vampire the whole movie, and I got confused by that. Was he a vampire in another movie? That's what it was, isn't it?
yes, he
Yes,
was in
Twilight.
oh my Twilight. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
that's
was a
what I think.
vampire.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think I might have been on medication. I'm just gonna have to watch it again. I know
You
I'm gonna get
might
some. I'm
have
gonna get some
been,
serious
and
hate mail for that, but it's just I will watch it again and give credit where credit is due to see, because it was a Kravitz woman that's in there, right? Because every time she
yeah,
jumped out, it always
Zoe
played
Kravitz.
American Woman. So yeah,
But
I'll have
no,
to check it out.
um,
I gotta
but the thing here's the
cut us
thing.
off. I'm sorry. It's I
Okay.
gotta get ready to go because I said we can only do this until 12, but it's 12:04, and I know you hyped up and you want like 5 hours more. What I can do is put this on pause, and this can be
Yeah.
part one of our discussion, and we'll do a part two when you're
Okay,
available
we'll
again.
do.
You said you're available again Friday.
Yes.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll try to get this done and put this up, and then we'll do part two of this, and then we'll continue on and have more conversations about this. Does that work for you?
Works perfect.
All right, thank you guys for listening in and hearing us talk. Sorry about all the hate mail you're gonna have to write now from everything that we said, but still enjoy yourselves. This is episode one of 5,000 episodes that we're gonna do. We're gonna get to that 5,000 episode, then we're just gonna stop regardless, whatever we're talking about.
100%.
All right, Jay. Talk to you soon. I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.